I want to be a breathing, altered woman. Chapter 2. We met in a nice cafe Boris recommended. It was optimized for guests with NIAS, with preserving an artsy atmosphere. Artificial flowers in empty pots, oil paintings behind hermetic glass cases, paint changed every year so it does not start chipping, and it was overall really cozy. Boris was already waiting for me and drinking an espresso. I ordered myself some hot chocolate and sat with him. Hiya, said Boris. Hi. So, what is it that made you want to gather today? I think I simply wanted to talk to someone like me. Boris seemed to immediately get what I meant. Tell me about it. Looking for such people is so hard, like looking for a needle in a haystack. Don't you feel distance from the community because of that? I stopped reading social media long ago. Makes you know what's going on in the world. That's one way to look at it, I guess. The waitress came to our table with my chocolate. Now I want to ask you a question you don't have to answer, said Boris. What is it? What was it that you changed? NIAS doesn't activate until you change something. It wasn't hard to see why Boris told me I don't have to answer him. The question about the body part we've modified is very personal and not everybody would like to be asked about that. I had no problem with telling him, but I was an exception. My hair. Interesting. For me it was the eyes, said Boris, pointing at his green retinas. Do you like them? I asked. I don't think about them that much. And do you like your hair? Not really. Do you hate them? I don't think it can be explained as simply as liking or hating. I see. Well, the world overall is complicated. It's okay if you can't name a certain thing. This talk about our changes felt strange. I felt glad for what I did, but I also felt sad that I can do more. I took a great sip of my chocolate and felt silent. What's the matter, Marzena? Asked Boris. Just some intrusive thoughts, I said. I just want to be a breathing altered woman, living her life without a fear of deadly cough from pollen, and I feel that's too much to ask of my body. Boris started gathering espresso leftovers from his cup with a wafer tube. Sometimes life just has a cruel sense of humor, he said. I shed a tear. You're the first person to ever not tell me to just alter my body. Quick judges, huh? Not even listening to the whole story. Maybe it's my fault. Maybe it's my throat that shuts before I tell it. Well, excuse me, but I'm not educated enough to be the judge of that. And what about you? How do you feel about you not being able to change? Boris was playing with the wafer in his mouth, pretending to smoke a cigarette. I don't think about it. What? How? No, that did not sound right. It's more of redirecting my frustrations into something else. So you do think about it? Yeah, I guess so. And do you think I could find something like that? Of course, sooner or later. For an outside ear, our conversation must have felt awkward, but for me it was a true moment of comfort and bonding. I never thought I needed so much before I actually experienced it. I couldn't sleep that night. It was one of those moments when you lay in your bed with no light on and near silence behind the window. One of those moments when intrusive thoughts find the best opportunity to invade your mind. So I stayed up on my phone longer than I should. I was scrolling through Roulette and browsing transgender-related subreddits, scrolling through memes, reading life stories and getting envious at before and after photos. I was happy for all the posters, but it wasn't that good for me. I had nothing better to do anyway. I was about to stop and simply try to fall asleep when I noticed an interesting post. It was titled, "A haiku about change." Haiku, I thought. Like one of those short poems that don't rhyme? I decided to read it and go to sleep. Breathing in new life, shedding your unwanted skin, embracing beauty. What a lovely description of the process, I thought. I love it. I love that. I put the phone away, hugged Carol, and tried to sleep. It was a long time until I did, and while I was waiting for it, I was constantly thinking about the haiku. I did envy the author for getting their change, but I was happy that they were so euphoric they decided to write a poem about the experience. It seems there is no unambiguous emotion one can feel about something that follows them the entire life. I felt I wanted to simply experience something I could write a poem about. With that thought, I finally fell asleep with Carol pressing against my chest. I woke up around 4 a.m. gasping for air. I dashed to my medication shelf and grabbed an inhaler. I removed the safety lid, put the nozzle in my mouth and started clicking. After a while, I felt the suffocating feeling stopping. A few deep breaths and I was back to normal. But I was worried. What could have caused this attack? I quickly spiraled into a cycle of accusing every possible reason. Dust. But I vacuumed the floor last evening. Pollen. But I always close the windows for the night. Smog. But the air quality forecast showed good quality for the whole week. Then my mind turned towards the only thing that it could come up with. Carol the plush shark. Was it really possible that this adorable plushie could have caused my near death? Was it that dangerous? How could it do it? Should I get rid of it? Should I sell it? Maybe I could get some money. Carl is a popular plushie. Maybe it was just a coincidence and Carl is safe, but how would I know? It was really late into the night. I was also overloaded with emotions. There was no way I could sleep anymore. I thought of how I could fill the time before the morning. Maybe I should try writing? I did want to try to write a poem, didn't I? Maybe I should try writing about what happened. That could be a fun way of processing emotions. I opened the text editing app on my phone and tried to write. It came to me with some difficulties, especially looking for rhymes. Well, that part became easier when I tried looking some up on the internet. I wrote, and just before my alarm clock went off, I finished. Carl the plush shark tried to kill me. I have got a story for a cup of tea. Carl the plush shark tried to kill me. Not with his teeth cutting through my flesh, nor his tail eating me to Bangladesh. With his body, which must have weighed tons, that pushed the breath out of my lungs. How could a simple embrace of friendship have almost turned into a death-done chip? Did he have a motive behind his assault? Or was something in my body at fault? Will I be able to hug him once more? Or will my lungs run squished, empty and sore? I know only one thing without a thinking fee. Carl the plush shark tried to kill me. I read the poem once more. I really liked how it sounded. Kind of a doggerel, I thought. But I think I said what I wanted. Writing did seem pleasant. It helped me organize my mind and process my emotions of that sudden attack. It was getting kind of late, so I started preparing for work. And just before I left, I sent my poem to Boris. I was curious what he would think of it. He did send me a message during my lunch break. Sounds cool. So, is poetry something you redirect your emotions into? It felt nice to hear it from him. I sent him a reply. That was my first poem, but it did seem nice. I had to really think about what I wanted to say and how to write it. I finished my sandwich and was just about to return to work when I got another message from Boris. Wanna see how I do it? Let's meet on Saturday and don't forget an inhaler. We met in a strange place. A large place full of small hills covered by dust. People with Nayas aren't expected to meet each other in such places. I'm not even sure if they're supposed to. Maybe that's why Boris told me about the inhaler. He was standing next to the field wearing a strange mask. I saw that he got there on a motorbike, and on its steering bar there was another mask. Took you some time, huh? Boris greeted me. What is this place? I asked. Just a small bike park local ride enthusiast mate. Boris took the mask off the bike. Let me put this on you. It will protect you through the ride. I realized I knew this kind of mask. A giant goggle placed atop a filtrating web. Is that a protective mask? I asked. You seem to know a thing or two, Boris said. Have you used one of those before? No, I never did anything I would need a mask for. Why? With the risky stuff I never know whether I can do it or I can't. Do I need a mask or not? I see. Don't worry for now. I can assure you that we can do what we're about to do. With a mask, but still. He put the mask on my face and got me through a sealing procedure. Then he sat on his motorbike. Speedway, he said. That's my life. You wanna hop on? Curious, I sat on the bike and grabbed Boris for balance. Hold on tight, Boris said as the engine roared. The bike threw itself forward, leaving a large cloud of dust behind. We were almost jumping out of the seat on every bump and every hill. Boris pushed the steering bar into a drift on every corner. It was exhilarating and a bit frightening, but of course I was afraid of all the dust on the road and in the air. We rode through the lap and the engine stopped. The dust settled down, and only then I realized I did not feel suffocating. I did not need to cough at all. Boris looked at the watch on his wrist and smiled. 7 seconds above my personal best. Not bad for a first ride with a passenger, am I right? The experience was surreal to me. We actually can breathe. I can't believe it, I shouted. Boris tapped his finger against his mask. Pretty cool, huh? He said. It saved me from giving up on my dream. Your dream? I asked. I want to race in the championships, said Boris. I decided to sign up to the team when I shaved my time down to under 2 minutes. I'm racing against myself on this track every weekend after lunch. How much until you cross that time? Just a couple seconds more, but I don't think I'll do it this week. Anyway, I wish you success. Thank you. One more lap? Yes, please. Alright, hold on. The sound of the engine was really soothing. Who would have thought there was a mask that allowed us to perform such dangerous tasks as racing through exhaust and dirt? I wondered why I never heard about them before. 3 laps later, Boris stopped the engine. Let's take a break, he said. You're not used to the mask. You're supposed to take breaks? I asked. Yeah, funny how overusing protective gear can mess you up even more. So it's not for everyday use? Nope, only for sport and work. And you have to get used to it if you want to use it for a long time. And wash the filters now and then, to get rid of the lingering dust. Then, how are you gonna race? Aren't the races long? 15 runs, 4 laps each, with short breaks in between. I think I'm used to the mask enough to take a break every 3, maybe 4 runs. Now, the dust settled down, take your mask off. You want a drink? We moved to a bench, and Boris gave me a can of cola. I was thinking about our bodies. Maybe a poet awoke in me, maybe a philosopher. Our bodies are like cocoons, I said. What? Boris said. Caterpillars risk dying in the cocoons, but they strive to become beautiful butterflies. Our bodies may kill us if we try to become beautiful, but we still strive to find our own beauty. Philosophizing, I see, said Boris. Don't you like the word cocoon? I asked. Boris thought for a while. I do, but if you want to call us that way, we would have to see whether or not we are exceptions. Good point, I said. From that point, I was sure that we create a slang to feel like a community.